Ed has talked about a point past which he cannot see like a giant wall, and worrisomely, kind of like, well, maybe you can't see anything because there's nothing to see. And I wonder if we could be talking about the same things, Aaron.
We have two things going on there. One, Ed is absolutely right about angelic intervention. Angels, especially if you have a holy guardian angel in you or around you, influencing you outside of your awareness, they or it can block or protect you from certain knowledge. When you go beyond a certain point, you're going to have to be brave. Things are dire and dismal, and there is no future for our young people. There's no future for anyone alive in there, and anyone who's existing on it, in the midst of a dying ecosystem, rapidly failing ecosystem. They know they have no future. They know they're going to go extinct, and extinction, you see, is not something we're accustomed to. The human mind, the brain,
doesn't grasp that.
Can never grasp it because it represents the infinite. So it represents our ultimate fear. And that's why we see pre-extinction behavior patterns like Columbine. We can never understand why they would do something horrific like this. It's a childhood, and then we look at it, and it's not. What is it?
When you look at these pre-extinction factors, you mentioned the social one, and I see those, and I see weather changes, I see political changes, I see in every aspect of human endeavor, things would seem to be accelerating. And accelerating perhaps not in a favorable direction. So I do see that, and I've known that for quite some time. And you're saying this is part of that pattern.
Yes, we're beginning to exhibit human pre-extinction behavior patterns. These are, women will wake up and just kill their children, beat them with bats, or drive into lakes and drown the children, and they won't know why they did it. They'll blame it on demons or what happens.
You, however, blame it on, no doubt, angels.
No, I don't blame, the angels don't do that sort of thing. No. In fact, demons don't do it either.
Oh.
That's a load of, that's just not true.
Okay.
Neither angel or demon, angels and demons are identical. You have one thing on one side for man and one thing against man.
So simply the pending pressure of this extinction is going to bring on more and more of these.
The purpose of, yes, it will, and the purpose of this dichotomy between angels and demons was supposed to be for our evolution. Lucifer's purpose was to impede the path of man in such a way that man could evolve. Something went wrong. We made some bad choices. It's all about human being and what we choose. And we can't go back now. So right now, we're going to have to choose to remove the holy guardian angel and accept the demonic realm as our highest probability, something that can provide for the human race the highest probability of existence in the future for our children. We've got to disrupt this balance between the two now. So I'm calling for people to trash their HGAs and to accept the demonic realm of knowledge and direction, because it's all we have left on a dying planet. It's the only chance our children have of surviving the future. And this is what we hear about demons making you do something. Humans make that choice. They choose to be evil. They create the evil. You can't blame it on the spirit realm because they don't move your arms and legs. We do that.
What you say is going to be, when you say it, that something like we must accept the darker, the demonic, you're just driving people crazy out there. But the rest of what you say makes so damn much sense.
I know it. I go further. Wait till I start talking about the benefits of a one world order and 666 and what it means.
Let's take a couple of things that I want to cover before we dive into that river.
Okay.
For example, Mars. You apparently have something to say about Mars. Now, we've got the rovers up there doing their thing, looking at rocks, and are they seeing anything up there other than rocks?
Yes, they are. And I have an announcement to make. We're going to discover, if we continue to study Mars.
Yes.
Now, I love science. I'm all for graphs and science and information. I'm an information junkie, and I'll tell you, This is very exciting to me. I think it's a waste of money. I think that it's a front for a space race between China. It's about military conquest between China and the United States. Again, it goes back to dwindling natural resources. We're gearing up for global conflict.
You think it's a waste of money, but exciting?
Oh, yes, it is, because the other side of this research will show us prebiotic chemistry, which will reveal how Earth's early life began. When prokaryotic cells...
Well, that doesn't sound like a waste of money.
No, it is not, but it's not something that we expect to find right now. This is what I find when I view Mars. I have searched high and low. I have searched everywhere. Anything that is suspect, I view it, and I have not found a single structure there which is exotic in any way. They're a bunch of rocks. And I may have missed something, but so far, I found nothing, Art. Mars is dead. The face on Mars is absolutely a mesa. But we will find on Mars. What happened to Mars? It had all the stuff to make life. It just wasn't in the right position with respect to the sun and so on. It didn't have the right temperatures, it didn't have the right conditions to spark up life the way Earth did. We were in the perfect place for it. What Mars is showing us is how unique and how wonderful and beautiful the Earth was. And the Earth is dying now because of human activity, because of bad choices we have made. There's no Planet X that's going to tilt and smash into us.
No Planet X?
No Planet X whatsoever. I've looked at it from a number of times. It does not exist. We're not going to tilt. We destroy ourselves. We go extinct because we do it to ourselves, because we overpopulated the planet. We destroyed our ecosystem. Our eco-balance is gone. It can't return.
There are many who will fast blast an email. Oh, baloney. There's tons of empty space out there. This planet can support billions more people. Don't worry about it. A lot of those.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to say that they're less anyway. What I'm trying to say is they need to study a little more. They need to study more about our ecosystem. I find it interesting that we're learning more about, say, Mars than we are about crustaceans out in the ocean. And we need to pay attention to our own planet, because when this theater closes, there's no place left to go. You can't colonize Mars. It's got a different gravitational field. The sperm cannot, its motility cannot function properly in a different gravitational field. We've evolved to be here. We need to take care of our planet. We need to tend our garden now, and it's desperate. It's an absolute desperate thing. It's a no-brainer.
All right, where is the hope? In other words, if this is malleable in any way and extinction can be prevented, in what manner would it be achieved?
This is where the controversy comes in.
Yeah, I know it's a worrisome question.
I have remote viewed, and I have viewed, and I've used PAN, I've used all the tools that I have as a psychic, and I've done this with blind targets with other people, and what I have found is something we call Project E. I call it Project E. It refers to something very odd cross-culturally. It also refers, and because most of the listeners here in the United States are Christian, they're familiar with the Garden of Eden. And here in the midst of the West, we see the Hopi, and they refer to Spider-Woman's web, in the center of the web, where we pass into the fifth world and so on.
They do indeed.
Now, the legs of Spider-Woman are the 4 angels guarding the gates of Eden. No different. When you remote view this, or when you view it, when you look at it, what you find? You find something that happened a long time ago. Noah. Noah went through this thing in an artificial craft that he did not build. Noah's Ark was a spaceship. And by the way, you find cattle mutilation all over the place prior to Noah's departure. And you find approximately 200,000 people. Why that number? Because that's required. The 144,000, as you might know, is required to maintain human genetic diversity. why a whole human and why not just grind them up like a cow and then reformulate it? Because the human carries the life of the soul, the cow does not. It can be cleaned up and reformulated and reintegrated into systems of information in the future, whereas a human cannot. We're very, very special. Like our planet is very, very special. You see the difference between that time and this time? Opie say we're passing into the fifth world, fourth world. The difference is this. This time, Earth may not be able to be reseeded. We're not smart enough to fix this problem. What we're going to discover with this prebiotic chemistry that we come back from Mars with, we discover it?
Yes.
What we're going to do is we're going to look at our Earth chemistry, and we're going to relate it to that chemistry there, and we're going to realize something has gone terribly wrong. It'll be an indirect result of this work. We're going to realize with science, hardcore science, we're not coming back here. That planet Earth is going to have eventually atmosphere like Venus. Can't come back.
That would be very troublesome for us. And
Yeah.
now, but the original question, Aaron, was how is this preventable?
Contact. We're not smart enough to fix this. We're in a jam. We got a big problem here. We have to go to a higher information system to understand it. Now, remember I said the name of Lucifer was not his name? Its name?
Mm-hmm.
Its name. It turned out are 72 specific frequencies. I've worked with the goetic demons of King Solomon. I pained over this for many years. I'm an accomplished ceremonial magician. I've worked with the evocation of demons for years. And believe me, you can't just sit down and remote view a demon. It'll screw you up. You got to be an accomplished magician to do this, and you have to be very, very careful. You can't just walk in there and have contact with one of the 72 demons. The 72 goetic demons of Solomon each carried, ironically, maybe not ironically, maybe it was all planned, in stage 7, which stimulates the Wernicke's area of the brain, which produces auditory hallucinations. Now, I got a tone for each and every demon. I didn't know what it was until it was all done. When I reached the 72nd demon, I evoked the demon inside of a circle, with my cleansing and banishing and so on, all the rituals, and I made contact with the demon. I knew it was there standing behind me. You could feel it. It feels like it's claustrophobic. It's very electric in there and spooky. And I, with my remote viewing table in the midst of the circle, where the demon was standing behind me, there, I started making contact with the demon by remote viewing it all the way to stage 7. Each of the 72 demons I did that, and each one gave me a tone. When the last one was done, I had all the tones in my head, and nothing happened. For about 2 weeks, nothing. I was disappointed, and finally it hit me. I woke up in a cold sweat. This is me, an occultist. Just trembling. It's unbelievable. What was happening? And I could hear a song. It was the most beautiful demonic choir you can ever imagine. It was the name of our progenitor, of Lucifer, the thing that I've been chasing all my life. And the brown robed beings, the things that showed me many future events, they're associated with Lucifer.
You probably scared Ed Dames.
I don't know. I didn't ask him if I don't know.
I'm just sitting here listening intently, and I can see that if you were doing this then, you would have worried Ed. You would have worried me. This is pretty dark stuff, and you know full well the average Christian reaction to what I've been hearing here is you're communicating with remote viewing demons, and they will do the worst. They're the trickiest. They will lead you down the wrong path. That's what their demons are.
Yeah, that's what they say. I'd like to liberate the demons from that false impression.
You'd like to liberate them from it.
Just because the angels have programmed
Bad
people.
rap on them, huh?
Yeah, the angels have programmed people to think this.
Maybe you can react to this for me. The most troublesome thing that anybody has ever said to me on this program was said by John Lear, who was actually quoting someone else, maybe Whitley even. Anyway, it was the following. When you die, you know, your natural inclination is going to be go to the light.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's a trick. You go to the darkness, and if you don't go to the darkness, you're lost.
I've been dead. So and if anybody should burn in hell for eternity, it should have been me. I didn't have the devil blinking me in the rear end with a pitchfork or anything. There's no gates of fire or anything. There's nothing like that happening. It's just, I'm going to tell you that, no, you're right. You don't go to the light. Yeah, and you do eventually. But what's involved is when the brain stops functioning, and I know firsthand. I was in some 40-degree temperatures, so I was well preserved.
What happened? What happened to you?
I had an anaphylactic reaction to penicillin. I should be telling people because I have now over 200 death threats. So as a result of my very.
Oh, I bet you do get some email, don't you?
Yeah.
By the way, do you want to give out your email address?
Yes. Actually, if you go to my website at ummo.cc,
Yes.
there you will be able to contact me, and that particular area can handle the traffic. So I get around 3,000 emails now every month.
Yes, warning everybody. There are some things I'm told on that website that Christians will be offended by. And so I give you that warning as I continue to warn you about Aaron tonight. There are some things I'm told on that website that will be very disturbing. I interview you people like you, Aaron, because I want to know. I have, I know what it did to the cat, but I still want to know. And while you say things very offensive to Christians, the rest of what you say kind of makes sense. A lot of what you say makes sense. A little bit of what you just laid on me in the last 10 or 15 minutes was a little difficult, but still in all, it kind of makes sense, and that's troubling. If you're really involved with Lucifer, you should be a total maniac.
Yes. Some might say that, but the opposite is true. That Lucifer is our only answer for the future. And by the way, all falsehood is reassuring, whereas truth is always disturbing, especially in these days. So if it is disturbing, you're probably within yourself touching on some truth. But I'm not here to convert anyone. That's not my job. I can only live by example. And even then, I know that the vast majority of people, in fact, we do have a number, 5.3 billion, are going to be dying soon.
With respect to the New World Order, the one world government, and all the rest of that, I take it you regard it as inevitable. You welcome it in view of what is coming. Is that?
Enthusiastically.
Enthusiastically.
Yes.
So bring it on.
Talk with Art Bell. Call the wildcard line at area code 775-727-1295. The first-time caller line is area code 775-727-1222. To talk with Art Bell from east of the Rockies, call toll-free at 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, call Art at 800-618-8255. International callers may reach Art Bell by calling your in-country Sprint access number, pressing option 5, and dialing toll-free 800-893-0903. From coast to coast and worldwide on the internet, this is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
You know, I wonder how many of you can feel it. Whether you agree or disagree, and I know many of you disagree with Aaron Donahue, with regard to what he said about the Earth, its capacity, where we're going, and the possibility, sort of a nervous little tick at the back of your mind, telling you that something is profoundly wrong. How many of you can feel that? It's always conceivable that there could be yet even a small portion of the audience that we've not yet managed to offend, so let's go after them. With regard to the New World Order and a one world government and all the conspiracies and all the rest that goes along with that, Aaron, you say you welcome it. You enthusiastically welcome it, I think.
Yes.
Why?
It's time to promote this thing. It's time to go out in the open and actually begin from the grassroots all over the world to promote the idea of uniting a world government. And how do we do it? Through our market system. Our market system is the number one target of not only the terrorists, but it's also the target, it's the first thing that will begin to reflect our dying ecosystem, our failing ecosystem, and of course our energy problems that we're now facing. And yet when I look into the future, because I'm very interested in market trends, it's one of my, I can't get enough of this stuff, it's just fascinating. Because it really does reflect modern man and what it's thinking. The thing about future markets is I see them fairly stable, and they're not reflecting very chaotic situations. So, when I view this, I find something very interesting. I find, going way back to the present, I find F.M. Bonsall, who is training students now and screening them for me, that these are my students in the future that are nailing order within the chaos of a market using PAN, or the practical application of non-historical data. They're looking for specific trends for investors in the midst of a chaotic market, and it is the only reason the future markets exist. And these people are handpicked to think a certain way.
Well, it makes sense to me. I mean, we began early on trading with each other. Villages traded with villages, and then cities with cities, and states with states, and countries with countries. And obviously, the trend is irreversible and well underway. I mean, we are on our way to a one-world economy, and from that will eventually spring probably a one-world government as just a natural following. Maybe not in our lifetimes, but I do see it headed inevitably, inexorably that way. It's headed that way.
It's a natural process, and we will see it within our lifetimes. We have to, because I'm pushing for this early. I want this to happen right away,
Sounds
not only for our children.
What do you think the nature of this one world government would be?
It would be a communal type of government, not like Marxism. Marxism lacks spirituality. That's the reason why it failed. That's why it's failing today. So you're going to see a spiritual community of like-minded people, the intelligentsia, are going to be ahead of the state. And we're going to be giving up our individual freedoms. And we have to put this into context. First of all, we can't have the rights that we have today anymore, because resources have to be allocated from a central location in order to provide the greatest good for the greatest number of people in terms of providing the optimum future for succeeding generations.
Sounds like Marxism.
It is, but it's a spiritual form of a community, of a communal system. It is a spiritual form of communism. But you can't call it Marxism because there are some amendments. There are some loopholes, if you will, that allow certain freedoms based upon how dedicated you are to the system. So you're not becoming a hypocrite by climbing the ladder within the system. You're rewarded certain freedoms that you wouldn't normally have. Remind you of the old days when we still had the experiment of freedom in the West.
And so you don't see much of a democracy.
Democracy daughters, it's failing.
You see more, well, I mean, the communists certainly had favors for the party elite, and that's what you're saying will always be.
Well, yes, only this is going to be different because it'll be in the open. It will be an integration of the West and Eastern ideas of what a government should be. But again, you have to put it in the context of a dying Earth. We're doing this, and this system is created out of necessity. And I'm saying right now, we can avoid World War III if we go to a one-world government. If the United States government, I'm sorry to cut you off, Robert.
No, that's all right. I mean, do you see this as a benign dictatorship? Or would you not venture that word benign?
I would say it's a type of leadership that, and I've looked at this carefully. It's a very kind leadership, and it's also a very unkind leadership to those who betray the ideal of providing an optimum future for succeeding generations. If you break the rules, we're going to remove the chip from you. We're not going to execute you. We'll give you one opportunity. You're going to be deprogrammed and then resocialized. And if that doesn't work, then the chip is going to be removed from you, and we're going to make you starve to death. You're going to be put outside of the system. And you can't pass because of future terrorist problems, and they're only going to get worse. Because of future security problems, they're only going to get worse because resources are dwindling. This is the core of everything. Overpopulation is the problem, is the core of everything.
And how will this new world structure address the problem of overpopulation?
My favorite question. And I wish we had done it 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Forced sterilization for all people with disabilities and lower IQs. We have to allocate resources for the greatest good, for the greatest number. And that means that people of lower IQs, people with IQs below 100, will be forced into, they'll be sterilized. They will not have a choice.
Now, to most people, this now begins to sound not quite so benign and more like the Nazis.
Well, the idea of eugenics was actually a good idea. Now, I thought Hitler was an insane person. By the way, he was on amphetamines. It was their super victory drug, if you will, to motivate the troops. The Japanese used amphetamines as well as a motivator for the troops. Hitler went insane on this drug.
Some of our pilots use amphetamine to stay awake. You know,
well, probably not to the extent that Hitler was using it to stay awake. I mean, you can see it in his salute and his voice and everything. He's definitely burning brain cells. He's destroying his brain cells. He eventually has a stroke as a result of using these drugs. And he was combining with heroin, or opiates, if you will. So that's what happened to Hitler. He was insane. Drug-induced psychosis. He was not a sociopath. He was drug-induced psychotic. Probably had some sociopathic tendencies. You look at the way he dealt with his people, his government, and so on, especially towards the end. But that's what happened to Hitler.
Well,
And,
this is a fairly big brotherish world, being kind here, that you're talking about right now, and
Yeah.
I don't see how you can be welcoming all this enthusiastically if you really think it's...
I am very, very enthusiastic about and very passionate about promoting this.
Well, I can tell.
Yes, because it's our only hope of providing a future for our children. We need to buy time. We've got to buy time, and we've got to provide... Lucifer is behind all of this. Lucifer is not, that's not the name of this thing. It has 72 tones,
Yeah.
72 frequencies. Its name is actually a song.
So I will be screaming to, please don't take my 666 chip, right?
If you don't have the chip,
Yeah.
don't eat.
That's right.
Period. And that's how we control the masses. And the masses have to be controlled because the experiment freedom produced a dead earth. We've got to take the freedoms away. They've got to go, and it's out of necessity. And we're talking about this early because many people are in a state of denial now.
You know, I actually do have kind of a chilled feeling that what you're saying, at least about, well, let's imagine for a second the people who imagine they're running the world, whether they are or not, if they're looking at the harsh realities that you're describing with reference to our environment, the oil, the overpopulation, all the rest of it, somebody probably is thinking about all of this somewhere.
More than just one person. I guarantee it.
Oh?
Absolutely.
And so how far along is their plan? How well executed is their plan heading us toward this inevitable future?
I guarantee you that I'm not the only one promoting the idea right now, and it's done in various ways. We must do this, or we risk early extinction. We will eventually become extinct, human beings. We need to provide an optimum future to lengthen the time before we become extinct, so we have a chance of solving our problem. We're not going to solve with technology because we're not smart enough to do this.
Mm-hmm. By the way, for a second, let's drop back. You did drop this contact thing on us, that we cannot do this ourselves. We will require contact with
Lucifer. Lucifer, there's only one alien that visits the planet. There's another bombshell for everybody, and it's all relative to Lucifer.
and all these UFOs and mutilations that we see and crop circles and all the rest of that.
Preparation. We're looking at the same cycle that had occurred during the time of Noah. Noah was carried over with approximately 200,000 people. And we see the same situation occurring again. But something's wrong. We need to make contact with our progenitor because something is desperately wrong. And by the way, one of the first signs of contact, I've been working on this project for years now, is a 3 dancing orange balls of light in a triangular pattern. I call it the xenotransdimensional beacon. Ed and I, we've looked at this. I've been chasing that thing, and I've isolated a place where we can bring out the xenotransdimensional beacon in New Mexico. No kidding.
What is it?
This is like a red flag. This is announcing a contact event. That's exactly what that is. And it's a form of entrainment. It draws your attention away from the actual ship. And some people can be manipulated outside of awareness once they're entrained. A girl that I was with, in that area, by the way, because I'm going to frequent the area, by the way, I have photographs. Because I know how to evoke contact, but I only can get photographs of these triangular things, and I can't get to the craft. It's not time yet. But they know we're here. You can remote view a precise location and time. Using PAN, you can isolate a place on the Earth and a number for time, and you can be there and wait for this thing to show up. All you have to do is take your camera and take photographs. But that's not good enough. We need contact. And what I'm seeing is that there, whatever it is, Lucifer is interested. We're not smart enough. We're not wise enough. We're not figuring it out. Collectively, we can never understand this higher information system. I call Lucifer not Lucifer, but a gate. This is a gateway.
Have you considered, Aaron, the possibility that which you call Lucifer and those which you call the demons and so forth and so on are not what you think they are?
Yes, that's, of course, when I've been doing this for so long and that question comes up so often. What I see is I look at a world dominated by angelic influences. You must admit that. And look at where we are on the planet. What have the angels done for us?
Okay, that's my question. What have the angels done for us?
Look at your world.
Right. You mentioned the large religions.
Four great religions were all created.
So what have they done?
Angels.
What have they done for us lately?
Hero. They're completing the mission to turn man against man. They're completing their mission to make us extinct. And why would they do that? Because within us is the divinity of the one they turned against, Lucifer. There's a war in heaven over us.
Mm-hmm.
We have that divinity within us. That DNA change is something that those angels don't want to evolve. You know what our purpose was as man? When you remote view this, it's fascinating.
What?
We were supposed to reach in perfect harmony with the earth. If we had tended the garden, if we were vegetarians and so on, we maintained the garden, taking care of earth, we could have reached 10 billion people. That was supposed to
This
be
guy
the
seems
threshold.
like he's full of
Why
shit.
10 billion?
Just saying.
Because this was our nexus. This was our chance to